Oh, in the NBA,
Yeah.
like in the last 30, 45 minutes or so?
It's something, relatively seismic happened,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I guess is the best way we can put that.
Before you said NBA, I said, yeah, I did just get some lunch. I don't,
Oh,
that's
I
pretty
mean,
big to me. Like,
if that's what you want to talk about, we can talk about that.
huge,
But
man.
uh, I mean, I guess we have to address it here at the top. It's breaking news headlines everywhere. Surmise to say James Harden is now a 76er and Ben Simmons is now a Brooklyn Net.
I mean, kind of half the 76ers are now Brooklyn Nets.
Okay,
I mean,
I'm with you.
how many players you got on an active roster? Like 13 to 15, probably, right? And then you got all your, well, like four of them just got traded.
They did.
So like a third of the 76ers team just got traded to the Nets.
But okay, theoretical show kind of conceptualization question for you here.
Okay, no problem.
Because
Let's see how this goes.
I've always had an idea for what I want this show to be, and I don't know if you know who this is. And there's some people that I'll be driving in their car going like, "You son of a gun! I know exactly who you're talking about right here." Have you ever heard the name Bo Bach?
Um, uh, I mean, I feel like I've heard it, but I don't know what you're talking
You
about.
probably would
So
have heard it from Kevin at some point because Bo Bach is an old time Atlanta sports radio personality.
okay,
And it's kind of one of like the seminal moments in my life. Like one of the pillars I live my life on was this one moment driving in the car with my dad. I guess I should say riding in the car with my dad. Uh, we're listening, and I think this was 790 The Zone was what we were listening to at the time. But they're sitting there, and there something big happened with the Hawks. It was God. This was like bad Hawks era, right? And so we're sitting there listening to the Hawks, and PJ staring at the phone. He's like, "Is that the ghost of Bo Bach
well,
calling in?"
no, I mean, I think
Is anyone else
I
here?
think I have to go get that.
Go,
That's
PJ,
what that
go.
look is.
Are we the only ones in the office right now? All right. Well, I'll keep talking to you, the listener. So I'm sitting in the car riding with my dad, and as we're listening, Bo Bach storms into the studio where they're talking about the terrible, terrible Atlanta Hawks, and just bellows out, like not on a microphone, just so you can hear. No one cares. Talk about college football. So as I sit here today and absorb the James Harden to the 76ers news, here's kind of where I'm sitting at with this right now. For the next 2 days, and that's being generous. For the next 2 days, all you're going to hear about on any sports talk radio show, at least national, is James Harden and Ben Simmons, and why this now puts the narrative out there that it's must win, do or die for both of these franchises. And was it a calamity? Was it a failure? The big three of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. Is this the worst day, Stephen A. Smith has already said, in Daryl Morey's history, right? Listen, man, I do a sports talk radio show in South Georgia. I think I have a pretty good pulse of what most people care about, and it's football. And we have the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, and we still have college football news to talk about because we got a lot. What I want to talk about today is just the shuffling around of coordinators right now, and there's so many lateral moves. Auburn, it seems like, is just waiting on Brian Harsin to get into the office to fire him. So there's a ton of college football stuff I want to get into here. But as I wait for PJ as I wait for PJ, what I'm gonna do is continue to talk to you guys because this is wonderful. For those of you who don't know, we're a relatively small staffed unit, and today it was just me, PJ, Ben, and Kevin, and it seems like Ben and Kevin have gone to get lunch, and so PJ is now on co-host duties, on radio duties, on board opping duties as well, and so PJ just sitting in there hanging out on the phone right now. No, but again, conceptualization of this show, I want to talk about football. And that's what I want the vast majority of this show to be, is talking about football. But obviously, when something this big happens with James Harden and Ben Simmons swapping teams, we have to at least come on here and acknowledge it. But today, listen, I'm gonna stick to our guns here, and we're talking about college football because we had Bill Conley on the show yesterday, and he has put out his S&P projections for 2022. And when you look at this, I think it's kind of different than what a lot of people expect. Oh no, hold on. PJ
No,
storming back in here.
yeah, no, it's fine. We got something
cooking for tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. And
is
that's
that,
kind of
did
what
you just
that
leave the
was.
person cooking by themselves like a microwave in
Yes.
the other
So
studio?
basically, that's what. Yeah. So they're doing their thing, and when they're done, they're gonna hang up, and we'll work it out for tomorrow. So
Oh no, let's just be fully transparent here. We're doing our Valentine's Day giveaway tomorrow.
Yeah.
We selected the finalists randomly, and so we called the finalists, and what we're having them do is talk about how they met their significant other, and then we're gonna play those tomorrow at 5:00, right? So you're saying that person is in there spilling their heart out about how they met their significant other right now to no one?
Yeah, and we're recording it, and then I told him, like, just because of the situation, like
Is he
you
still
said,
going?
being totally it looks like it's done. So it looks like they've hung up. So yeah, I mean, this is what sometimes you're just left with what you got to do. So yeah, that's live radio.
Where the
for
hell
you.
are Kevin and Ben?
Live radio for you, man. I think Ben might be getting lunch right now. I'm not sure. Kevin was gone before I came back, so it's about that time.
Okay, so Cam's not here today. BJ's not here today.
Yeah, we're running low on staff.
Well, yeah, we already have a small staff, but since they both left while we're on the show, I will have zero problem now leaving if they're on the show.
Oh, leaving right now?
No, like leaving when when they're on their show and the
Yeah.
phone starts ringing, I'll be like, oh well,
No, for sure.
yeah, should have
been
thought
able
of
to
that.
get it, for sure.
A
Man.
little old second down.
If you want to be completely transparent about that, yesterday we had only a few people up here, and BJ had left, and it was Ben and Kevin on the show. Cam was running the board, and I was back.
So y'all literally had twice as many people here as we do right now.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, they were live, right? And I was in the back doing office work, and I didn't know that they were going to do one of the promos. So they did one of the promos.
Oh, and the phones blew up.
Literally,
Yeah.
literally
Love when
every
they do that.
line, and I'm like, okay, I'll get the first one. I had to reposition I had to go get on another phone to get the list where we're registering people. So like, I pick up the first one, put them on hold. I'm like, all right, I'll get some help with lines 3 and 4. So I'll do line 2, and then I wait for that help to come, and I'm talking to lines 1 and 2, and I'm like, the help never came. I was waiting. I think I yelled at some point, someone help me on line 3 while I was in between calls. And
Somebody pick up the damn phone.
Never happened. So just had to man those 4 lines, and then when I hung up with those 4 lines,
I think what you're saying is we're the backbone of this establishment.
Another 4 came in, so it's one of those things, man. Live radio when you're undermanned is an interesting thing. That's all
I've never experienced it any other way. But that being said, PJ, me and the audience were having it was kind of a very.
Yeah, did you guys have a good time?
No, it was kind of a singular conversation. I was kind of monopolizing a lot of the time there, but I was talking about
those are tough.
For 23 out of 24 hours, you are going to be able to get Ben Simmons and James Harden talk. Is it selfish of me to be like, I don't want to talk about that?
I don't think so. And I think not only that, there's a lot of people out there. Listen, again, you guys have the number, obviously. Call in if you want to and disagree. But
912-342-7184. Please argue with me.
If like all you want to talk about is Ben Simmons and James Harden, then that's fine. But like you said, I think for at least 24 hours, people are going to be able to get that. If they haven't, I mean, they've already been listening to it for 3 or 4 days because of, I know last Friday was the first time they had heard about
do you want my
20-second coming through.
Do you want my 20-second first take, hot take?
Well, go ahead.
On this,
you just want me
to get it done?
Because I think the people listening to us probably are, okay, great. We have that information now. But we don't have to hear about it for a full hour.
Are you ready? Here we go. I think it was an abject failure in Brooklyn with Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. We should have seen this coming from a mile away. Now you have Ben Simmons on the Brooklyn Nets. I still think their ceiling is maybe the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe, but very good chance to get bounced like in the first round, like they typically do. Flip it over to 76ers. Think it could be a good trade. You substituted maybe the best defender in the league for potentially one of the best scorers ever in the history of the NBA. Just got to see what James Harden has left in the tank. You combine him with a big guy in the middle there in Joel Embiid, who might be the best player in the NBA right now. maybe that gives them enough of a boost to get past the Atlanta Hawks
There
again
you go.
in the NBA playoffs.
Right.
So at the end of the day, when they're crowning a champion, does this trade matter? Probably not. Is it a bunch of names that we know? Yep. Do people want to talk about it? Sure. That's my 20-second take.
Good. I think that was very solid.
Good.
I don't know if I disagree with.
Think you can stretch that into 4 hours?
Any of that, really. I think you very much could. I don't think you want to, and I don't think anyone wants you to. That's basically what I'm saying. And it's like, again, disagree with us. Be sure to let us know. But okay. I don't think anyone wants to do that.
Well, before you came back in here, I was starting to get into what I want to talk about first, which is Bill Conley with ESPN.com put out his way too early S&P Plus ratings. So, out of curiosity, if you had to pick one, who's the best team in college football next year?
I think my answer for always for that's Alabama.
Okay.
Pretty much every year.
Take Alabama out of it. Take Alabama out of it because that's usually the very, very easy answer there.
Right.
Who's the just thinking about who they have coming back, how good their offense, how good their defense is, because what S&P Plus, I can read you. It's a tempo and opponent adjusted measure of college football efficiency. It is a predictive measure of the most sustainable and predictable aspects of football, not a resume ranking. So he takes into a lot of counts like third down efficiency, production returning, stuff like that. And it's a formula. So this isn't bias at all. This is just he puts the stats into the formula, and this is what it spits out. Who do you think's number one?
I mean, I think that'd be Alabama.
Ohio State.
See, that's what I was going to put them at 3.
They, according to
because they got some monsters.
Yeah, the offense S&P Plus, they are ranked number 1 in the country.
I wouldn't necessarily argue.
And they have the
11th
ranked defense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I mean, I think an extremely good quarterback. Yeah, obviously you lose your 2 best wide receivers, but you've shown what your 3rd quote unquote wide receiver can do. Obviously, 5 stars sitting waiting to take their shot at the wide receiver position as well, and even some of them showed out in the Rose Bowl. Solid at the running back position, always solid on the offensive line. I mean, you
want to make this really sports radio-y?
Sure, go ahead.
Buy, sell, hold. All right?
Okay.
You ready? Buy, sell, hold. Ohio State's the best team in college football, at least at the start of week 1, starting the season. Nobody wants to see them in the country, including Alabama. Ohio State's number 1.
Oh, I'll sell that. Yeah, I'll sell that.
All right, you're going to sell that? All right. How about this? Buy, sell, hold. Georgia is number 2.
I will buy that.
Because Bill Conley has them number 2. He has them as the 2nd best offense and the 5th best defense.
Yeah, no, completely agree. I mean, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. And if anyone wants to come at me for, Stetson Bennett or like losing George Pickens or anything like that, like I think you have solid replacements there.
Well, think about who they have coming
even
back.
Then, like
you have maybe the best offensive weapon in college football, and Brock Bowers coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, this is gonna sound stupid, but I don't think it inherently matters who's behind center because you have to start with. We saw how good Stetson can be, which is 577 yards and 5 touchdowns, no interceptions in
the 2 most important games of the year.
The 2 semifinals, right? So we've seen how good Stetson can be. If that's your starting point and he gets beat out, then that just means your offense is that much better, right? So I think the offense can be nasty. You have Brock Bowers. A.D. Mitchell is going to be a sophomore. Offensive line, I mean, you lose Jamari Sawyer and Justin Schaefer, but outside of that, you have some dudes behind them who got a lot of time, including Broad Jones last year. So I think that offense could be filthy. Darnell Washington's still a Georgia Bulldog as of right now. So I think that offense could be filthy, and the defense is going to be really good. All right, buy, sell, hold. Clemson, number 5. He has them as the 41st ranked offense.
Yeah.
But the number 1 ranked defense.
See, that defense is always going to be pretty nasty.
Oh, yeah. They did lose Brent Venables.
Again, yeah.
You lost both coordinators.
Right. And that's an issue. Like that, not only the struggles of this year, is what worried me moving forward for Clemson. I know we had that conversation a few weeks ago where we talked about, where they could be in 2 to 3 years and what it could be like. And not only did this year, but also losing those coordinators is really what worries me the most. But I think just with your talent, what you have in place, I think that defense, yes, is still going to be nasty. But yeah, that offense struggled, and it didn't show to me a lot of signs of getting any better. So yeah, I think I would.
Well, again,
it's difficult, right?
You're replacing Tony Elliott. DJ Uiagalelei is still, I think, a really good quarterback. I just don't think the way they used him last year was great.
Right.
And so he's still got all the measurables, and he's kind of reminds me of like Justin Herbert vibes. I know that's like lofty praise, but just like not overly efficient in college, but you can see that he has something different for an arm
The
than
tools are there.
most
Yeah.
most human beings, and his stature. I think if they find like the right coordinator, then he can really flourish. But defensively, you lose Brent Venables, but still, you still have all those recruits there.
I'll hold that.
All
Like
right.
if we're doing buy, sell, hold, I'll hold that because I want to say I'll sell it because I think they're more 7-10.
Yeah.
But like you said, they can strike lightning with that offense if they get them in the right spots and use the tools effectively.
There's a couple other ones I want to hit here real quick. One that surprised me, Oklahoma comes in at number 7, which they have lost a ton.
They have.
But also Oklahoma usually recruits really well, so they're going to have some guys behind them. They got some good. Dylan Gabriel's coming in to play quarterback.
Yeah.
They got a good quarterback, and then Brent Venables might be the best or top 5 defensive minds in college football. So I think Oklahoma is going to be really good next year. Tennessee coming in at number 9.
Yeah.
Which Tennessee, you want to talk about as we get closer to next season. Tennessee is going to be one of those teams that's going to have a ton of preseason hype. The narrative, I can already tell you, the storyline is going to be, hey, if Tennessee can make it a one-off with Georgia,
yeah,
could they maybe jump up and grab the SEC East? I think pretty clearly right now, Tennessee's the number 1 contender in the SEC East. Florida's going to take a minute to get back on track.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina, even with Spencer Rattler, I just don't know if they have the depth. And then Kentucky, I think they maybe take a step back this year. They lost some dudes that were key cogs on the team, which I say that they lost a lot prior to this year, and they're still a 10-win team.
Well, they did.
I just think Tennessee's the flashy one, right? They have an offense that can stress out Georgia.
I'll say this with Kentucky too. It's like they're in a loop, and maybe that ends, but it's like they have to build. Like they build to that really good year. They have it, and I'm not saying anything bad about them, but I mean, some teams are just like this, and then they have a year or two where they kind of build to get back to that 10-11 win. Some teams just do that, so I don't think that's a big problem necessarily. I think they're right on the cusp, but no, I completely agree with you. Tennessee, honestly, is one of those teams, like you said, with everything they have coming back, that energy, that new offense. Man, every time I hear the state Tennessee or like see some orange, I'm like, man, I can't wait for next. Like, I can't wait to see what they can do. And maybe I'm setting myself for an extreme disappointment and they go like 4-8, but I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. So I'm right there with you, seeing them getting that kind of respect also for what they have coming back is even more exciting. But now it's like, I think what we'll be talking about before the season and throughout the season is, okay, now you have the opportunity. What do you do with it? Because there's plenty of teams that have great stuff coming back. But if you don't do anything with that, I mean, what do they say about potential, right?
I want to talk about Wisconsin because Wisconsin is ranked in the most Wisconsin way possible. Bill Conley has them number 10, 62nd best returning offense.
Yeah.
2nd best returning defense.
Exactly. We got them
the
right
most
where
Wisconsin
we want
line of all time. They're just going to bludgeon you 15-9 is what the scores are.
And they're
like,
why didn't we get Caleb Williams?
They're gonna be like, holy hell, how did we let them score 9 points? Mississippi State surprisingly ranked number 12.
Okay.
But I can see that. But what's surprising is 26th ranked offense, 15th ranked defense. So you hear Mike Leach and you're like, okay, it's got to be the offense. Got a really good quarterback coming back. It's got to be the offense, right? No, defense. Defense winning the day for Mississippi State, which is hilarious because, again, we always hear about the offense. And, like, what, Dak Prescott might be the most famous Mississippi State player out there, quarterback. So we're talking about offense, right? Look in the NFL and look who, like, which side of the ball has the majority of the Mississippi State alums. Defense. You got Darius Slay, Fletcher Cox, Chris Jones. You have so many, Willie Gay with the Chiefs, right? You have so many defenders from Mississippi State that are playing at the next level. Mississippi State quietly, a little bit of a NFL defense factory right there. But before we hop off, Florida's number 18. Miami comes in at 20. Kentucky down at 21. Ole Miss 22. Florida State, and then Auburn rounding out the top 25. Care to guess where Penn State is ranked, PJ?
Not really.
So, like, I gave you the metrics, right? Wisconsin is ranked number 10 with the 62nd best offense, 2nd best defense.
Yeah.
Where do you think, if you're just kind of using that, where do you think Penn State would fall?
Well, I'll say that this is the issue, is that you lose all your best players. Like, lost our best defensive lineman, lots of that's the like Brisker's could be a first or second rounder. Like can't wait to see that there at safety. You lose Jahan Dotson. So I'd say got a better offense than Wisconsin. I'd say offensively probably like 37 or something like that. I don't know. Defensively, we might be in the top 20, but so I guess I'd say like 23 maybe. I don't know.
Not bad. 16th.
Yeah. Okay.
16th. He
That's fine.
actually gives Penn State the 56th ranked offense, seventh best defense
All
returning
right.
in
Okay.
college football. So listen, there's some optimism, at least according to Bill Conley.
Not with Sean Clifford at quarterback. That's why you got a
Only problem
57
is you got to get over that hump with, according to him, the number one team in the country in Ohio State. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back, talk some more college football next, right here on Second Down. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. All right, we got some news to get here to your PJ, but every now and then you read a headline and it just makes you kind of cradle your face in your hands.
Oh man, every now and then. I kind of
that's fair.
Like I do that
That's
like
fair.
4 or 5 times a day.
That's fair. But I mean, just like it makes you curse
Yeah.
because of how upset you are. That not inherently what it's about, which this is both cases, but just like, how could somebody be that dumb?
Yeah.
How could somebody in that position say something so stupid?
Right.
Or just like read the room or read what society's been talking about for the last almost century, right?
The older I get, the more I realize, which is kind of funny in and of itself, how little like self-awareness people have, right?
Okay, so this brings me to a good point.
Yeah.
A lot of times on this show, just like things that we're talking about, either this show or Three and Out, I've always brought up the point that if you make over $250,000 a year, you should take some of that money and hire somebody to be with you every step of the way. That can be your "Are you sure" coach.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah,
Like literally, their entire job is "You sure?" before you do anything, sending an email, sliding into somebody's DMs.
well, that's
right?
the thing. A lot of people talk about that with like Twitter and social media,
Mhm.
right? Like if you had someone there that,
Or
but you're
buying
with
cars,
everything,
buying
yeah.
cars, buying a house.
Mhm.
And like, to be fair, I would say my mom probably helps out a lot with this, but I'm talking like every single moment to
Yeah.
just be like, you sure? You sure you want to do that? Here's just a headline for you. Washington Commanders defensive tackle Jonathan Allen apologized for a since deleted tweet in which he said Adolf Hitler was one of the 3 people living or dead whom he'd like to have dinner.
Yep.
If I ran a PR firm,
Oh man.
if I ran a PR firm in like our constitution, in our company goals, it would be don't ever talk about Hitler, would be one of the key cogs.
Just don't.
Like, don't compare things to the Holocaust
Right.
and just don't ever bring up Hitler.
Because like it doesn't like I understand. I already ran through. I saw that earlier, and I ran through like the arguments about it or whatever in my head, and I'm just like, no, you just don't know.
No, here's the exact.
You just don't need to do it. No,
he told his nearly 68,000 Twitter followers early Wednesday morning to quote, "Ask me anything." One of them asked, "Which 3 people, dead or alive, would he want to have at the dinner table?" Allen responded by saying his granddad, Hitler, and Michael Jackson.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's
I'm just gonna let that one sit for a second.
that's quite the group.
I mean, granddad, I get.
Of course.
And he said to explain, he
Who
said in
doesn't?
another tweet, quote, "He's a military genius and I love military tactics, but honestly, I would want to pick his brain as to why he did what he did. I'm also assuming that the people I've chosen have to answer all my questions honestly."
Right. But I mean, I'm not gonna get into that. I'm just that's just yeah, no, you just don't. There are there you don't need him to tell you. There are plenty of
First question would be, does it matter?
yeah, exactly. I mean, first of all, no, it doesn't matter. Second of all, like all I'm saying is there are plenty of pieces of information that will tell you that. So you don't need to talk to him to get that information. That's all I'm gonna say.
But anyways, Jonathan Allen, if you were hiring, I would love to take over as your "Are you sure" coach.
Oh, absolutely, because that's gotta pay pretty well.
It
Like,
should.
you're not doing that
You'd
for minimum
think.
wage. Yeah.
It's like, listen, do you really? I'm not saying this is Jonathan Allen. I'm just saying like the people out there who are making that cheese,
Mhm.
right? Do you really need that Summer Lake house?
Probably
Really
not.
need another vehicle?
Yeah.
Or
You
you can have me,
Yeah.
following you every step of the way, saying, "You sure?
Right.
All right, all right."
And
Or
he's not,
don't
like-
do it.
Yeah. He's not an annoying person. Like
I'm pretty chill.
Christian's not gonna annoy you or anything.
Pretty
He's just
chill.
literally just there to be like, I
Oh
don't
my
know, man.
God.
Are you sure you don't just want to go on a vacation right now instead of buying that house?
It gets worse.
How?
It gets worse.
Come on, man.
It gets worse. Allen said he was merely saying why it would be interesting to speak with Hitler, not, quote, giving him props.
Oh man.
The fact that he has to clarify it is why you should never bring it up in the first place.
Exactly. You don't need to say things like this. And if that's the thing, man. Like if you have You have a thought about that or whatever? That's probably just something you should
Like,
keep to yourself.
unless the statement or the question is, "Hey, who's the most evil person in the history of the world?" And you say, "I don't know. I would think guys like Hitler."
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
The fact that he needed to point out, like, I'm not giving him props. Like, what in the world? What are we doing?
That's what we're doing, apparently. You know what else we're doing? Tomorrow we are doing Super Bowl props. So we'll go ahead and preview that.
Yeah, can't wait for that. Looking forward to it. Making
Hope-
our picks too.
Hopefully Cam will be back so we can get that. We got Super Bowl predictions coming up. I was going to ask you though. We're now 3 days away.
Okay.
What's your gut telling you?
Gut, like, not my.
Not
I
your
mean,
pick, just like what's your gut telling you?
my gut, weirdly enough, has been with the Rams for a while now. So, I've been proven wrong betting against Joe Burrow a few times during this NFL postseason. But my gut right now is that this is the Rams' year, which
Sean
is,
McVay gets it done.
I think so. Yeah, and I know all of the struggles that they had last time they were in the Super Bowl. They also had Jared Goff as your quarterback.
You know,
So
you know my favorite fun fact about Sean McVay is?
yes, I think I
Yeah.
do. Yeah,
One Georgia player of the year in football over who? Megatron.
some guy. Oh, yeah, Megatron.
Calvin Johnson.
I wish that the Rams could sign. Honestly, like, I wish, like, for teams like this. Well, I guess it's not.
Did we let that sit enough?
I don't.
Sean
Probably
McVay.
not. Probably not.
Sean McVay, who is a wonderful football mind, and I'm sure was a hell of a B back or like a slot back for the triple option attack of Marist
There
back
you
in
go.
the day.
Yeah.
Won football player of the year over Calvin bleeping Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Love Sean McVay. He's got a hell of a jawline. He's got the cool faux hawk going on. He's always looks super serious. I don't know if you've ever seen the video
He really
where they
does,
where they
like
ask him, they're like, okay, it was 3rd and 16, week 13 of this, so and so did this. What happens next? And he can just he can tell you every play call and what happened throughout his career. Like, dude has like a photographic memory. Super cool guy. Never a day in his life that Sean McVay woke up was he better at football than Calvin Johnson. But
Right.
so that's I just love that little factoid there. But what were you saying?
Oh, I just had a weird thought that I was like, I think it'd be cool if, like, the Bengals could sign one person that that had to suffer through the terrible years, and then, like, the Rams could do that too, but for Detroit. So, like, you have Matt Stafford, but I wish they could do that for Calvin Johnson. Like, bring him in, like, just have him ride it out, and then the Bengals, they're playing for, like,
Why do you make the Detroit Lions sound like a pound where you're going to rescue just unfortunate players from?
Are they not? I mean,
Damn.
it kind of seems like, look at sports in Detroit.
Are you
It
saying
kinda
the
seems
are
like
you
that's
saying the
what all their
Rams are
sports
Matt
teams are.
Stafford's forever home?
Yeah. Like, I mean, it is what it
Are you
is.
saying the Rams dropped Jared Goff off at the pound?
But this is the thing.
PJ, the saddest thing I've ever heard in my
I'm not
life.
only saying that about Detroit, I'm also saying that about Cincinnati, because, like, think about it, man. AJ Green, like,
Oh.
Carson Palmer had
No,
his
if you want to
chance.
make yourself sad, just talk about all the old dope Cincinnati Bengals players. TJ Hushmanzada,
Yes.
Chad Ochocinco. Like,
Dude.
there's so many cool ones from back in the day.
Although,
Pac-Man Jones.
yeah,
Oh.
Pac-Man Jones was nasty. Although I will say that, like, Chad Ochocinco had his chance with, like, 17 other teams after
They
that.
played for the damn
So,
Patriots.
yeah. I mean, I'm not feeling too bad for him,
But
honestly.
still, just TJ Hushmanzada.
Yeah.
Carson
No, especially
Palmer.
because he was a baller. He was a baller too.
Carson Palmer.
You know who I'm not feeling bad for? Vontez Perfect. That guy can just,
Okay, Steelers fan.
that guy can get out of here.
I love Vontez Perfect.
Of course you do, because he's dirty as hell.
We had this conversation last week.
He's just
We
out
have it
there
on
trying
Monday.
to break
We have it on
legs
Monday.
for no reason.
Break legs? He's trying to decapitate people.
He's one of those guys. I'm not going to go
He's
there.
the one who hit Antonio Brown, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he. Well, I mean, that's an argument. I was going to say Antonio Brown obviously needed it, but
Oh, wow.
apparently, like, maybe that's why he is. Oh, he is right now. I don't know.
Saying Vontez Perfect mentally altered Antonio Brown.
Ooh, something did.
Could have been the paychecks.
Could have been the paychecks. Could have been, like, remember that video of him, like, yeah, standing outside of his home. He's like yelling at his baby
Yeah.
mom and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Like the real problem, you want to get like on a soapbox.
Oh,
The
no, here we
the
go.
real problem
Do I need to
with
be ready to hit the dump
situation.
button?
No, you want the real problem with situations like that is you turn on that video and there's like two or three guys standing next to him hyping him up. And that's the thing. You can't have yes people like all around you. You got to have people that are like, "Hey man, like you said, like this probably isn't a good thing to do. Like I care for you and
Yeah.
I don't want so you
And
probably
by,
shouldn't
like
be
and
doing this."
sometimes, like, by care for you mean, like, literally pick you up and carry you out of the situation.
Right,
"Don't
exactly.
worry, PJ, I'll be that for you."
But instead, you got to look out for those yes men that are around for that money that you're making and look out for that.
Alright, well, we're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna come back and do what apparently nobody else is doing at the moment. We're gonna talk Winter Olympics.
Okay. All right. This is a fun show.
Yeah, we're talking Winter Olympics. We've mentioned Vontez Perfect in the Winter Olympics in the same show. We have already accomplished our goal for the day. We'll come back. This is Second Down right here on ESPN Radio. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. 2 different locations inside Savannah to take care of all of your uniform needs. Christian Gokel alongside PJ Zuko. Glad you guys are hanging out with us here on this Thursday afternoon. PJ, how much of the Winter Olympics have you consumed?
This is the thing.
Uh-oh.
I haven't consumed a lot of the Winter
Have
Olympics.
you consumed any of the Winter Olympics?
No, but
All
I
right, there it is.
have the only consumption of Winter Olympics I've seen is like countless stories of odd things happening.
Well, that's typically what happens in the Olympics, but
Well, I mean, not even odd. Like,
when it heads to China, yeah.
yeah.
Define odd. What's the oddest thing you've heard?
What's the word? Not odd. It's like suspect, I guess I should say. Right? Like, not good. I saw that one, I forget, was it a skier?
Okay.
Maybe was disqualified in like the final round because their suit apparently was too baggy.
Yeah, no, it wasn't just one of them. There was like 4 countries that were disqualified.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this was I think it was alpine skiing.
Right.
No, it was the
I just saw like the stance.
Ski jumping.
So like apparently they were disqualified and they had worn the same suit the whole time. So like every round, every day, they'd worn the same thing and they weren't disqualified until the final round.
That has like a whole controversy around it because like somehow like the 3 best teams or 3 best countries were all the ones who just happened to be disqualified for having too, I think, baggy of clothing.
Yes,
which
exactly.
The other teams argued gave them like an unfair aerial advantage because you could catch wind, I guess, in the bagginess of the clothes.
I would think that would make it more wind resistant, wouldn't it? Like,
well, if you like get up in the air and it's pushing against the bags, it kind of gives you like wings or something. I don't know.
Maybe a little bit. That's kind of true.
You have to get Josh Dobbs on the phone.
Physics, geometry, calculus, whatever this is.
Correct, but
yeah.
No, but what I want to ask is well, you kind of ruined it because you say you haven't consumed any of it, but if you do consume it, if you do consume it, what's your favorite sport to watch?
I mean, probably the snowboarding.
Okay, that's fair.
Although I will say that like the speed skiing where they're just coming down that mountain.
Here's why I want
flying through that's insane.
Oh no, see, that's not speed skating. That's the alpine or freestyle skating, I believe. Or alpine skiing.
See, that is like, that's one of those things that I don't think I'm going to get hooked into. And then I find myself for 35 minutes just sitting, watching the same zigzag. And I'm like,
I thought
you
would like, I was watching the Winter Olympics over the weekend and I thought you would like the speed skating. You know why? Big NASCAR vibes.
Yeah. Like they're just skating in the circle. It's like super fast.
But big
obviously.
NASCAR vibes because usually the one who's in second place ends up winning, right? Because they're drafting, and they're going around in a circle. There's no turns or anything like that. It's going the same direction the entire time.
Here's a problem.
You pick it up in the straightaway, then you have to kind of coming back around the corners.
And that's the technical side of NASCAR that I insanely respect and do enjoy. You know, the one aspect of NASCAR that you can't have in speed skating, or it gets very, very dangerous, Robin's racing. So you can't.
Yeah, there's no like blades in NASCAR.
That's the problem. Now, obviously, NASCAR can be dangerous too, but like you can't have any.
Can I get you on the air to say that speed skating is more dangerous than NASCAR? Like, does NASCAR? Do they drive around with knives on their feet?
No, but there's plenty around.
Do you have to sharpen?
Do you have to
sharpen anything
very quickly?
Do you have to sharpen anything in NASCAR?
No.
All right. Well, they have to sharpen their skates.
Actually, I don't think you have to sharpen anything in NASCAR. So, yeah, I maybe so.
And listen, I'm not trying to talk crap to NASCAR. All I'm saying is, like, one of the ladies from the Netherlands who were just like dominating speed skating, I think she'd beat the hell out of Tony Stewart. Like, I'm just saying, in a physical confrontation.
Well, yeah, I mean, probably.
I'm just saying.
Tony's also, I mean,
I'm talking prime Tony Stewart though.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
I could see that too, because like Wow, Tony Stewart.
NASCAR guys are really good at two things: throwing helmets at cars
Yeah, and
and getting pulled out of
that's
fights
obviously one of the best
and
things
getting
that
pulled out of fights.
Tony Stewart is remembered for.
Like you have like
I was
the
at that race, by the way.
were you really?
Yeah, threw the helmet at
You
Matt
so
Kenseth.
you have like in baseball, you have like the Nolan Ryan fight, which Kevin's sitting back there. Who was Nolan Ryan fighting, Kevin? Robin Ventura. Thank you, Kevin. Where well, he said Robin Ventura charges him, Nolan Ryan puts him in the headlock and just beats the hell out of him. So you have famous fights
Yeah.
from MLB history, from basketball history, sometimes fighting the fans. But does NASCAR actually have like a seminal fight where you're like, that was actually a good fight?
Oh no, absolutely. It's I believe 1979 Daytona 500. Now I might be
of course,
wrong on
we
the
all
year.
remember that one.
Yeah, no, it's Cale Yarborough and the Allison brothers. They wrecked Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison, I believe it was Donnie or Bobby, one or the other. They wrecked on the backstretch of the Daytona 500 on the final lap.
Oh, let's go.
They wrecked each other, and in the infield after that, they get out of their cars and they just start duking it the hell out. And why I say the Allison brothers is the other brother stopped, got out of his car, and went to fight Cale Yarborough as well. So like that's it was an actual like there was a pretty good fight, punches thrown, all that stuff. I will agree with you though, there is way too much in NASCAR of, especially nowadays, of the pit crews get involved and they get between and around the drivers, and then once anything happens, it's just a mosh, and it's a mosh of guys pulling each other around. Like, it's not even, there's no punches.
Yeah.
There's no any, it's just like, oh, I'm tugging you. I'm tugging you. Have you seen
the tree trunk? Have you seen the tree trunks that the bobsleigh teams like that they have for legs? Have you seen that? Have you seen the tree trunks that they have for legs?
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon's getting waxed.
Oh, in a heartbeat.
Like,
yeah.
Jimmy Johnson's getting smoked.
Especially Jeff Gordon. Although he does have some fight in him. Like, I will say this was against Jeff Burton when Jeff Burton was like 50, so this is kind of mean. But Jeff Burton wrecked him on the backstretch of Texas, and he did, like, Jeff Burton was coming up to talk to him, and Jeff Gordon straight up like pushed him and started hitting him. Jeff Burton's like, "What are you doing? You're gonna break me." So he has a little bit of fight in him, Jeff Gordon does, but that's only against like 50-year-old men. So I don't know how much I would count that. Anyway, there's plenty.
Sometimes that's all you need to have, and sometimes you need a show where you talk about Vontez Burfict and NASCAR fights in the same show. We got to take a quick break. We'll come back, get you ready for 3 and Out next. Whew. Well, we kind of have an update for Major League Baseball.
Oh man, can't wait for this.
Best way I could put it out there. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred, he called the possibility of missing regular season games during this lockout a quote disastrous outcome, but called himself a quote optimist and said, "I believe we will have agreement in place in time to play our regular schedule." I mean, that seems highly unlikely at this point, but I appreciate his optimism at the moment. We'll see what happens.
At least he has that, if
Here's-
anything else.
Here's one thing I can tell you that's
Some
going to happen.
optimism.
3 and Out's going to come up next.
There you go.
They're going to talk about the Super Bowl.
And they actually want to be there.
Yeah, they do. And they're not going to call the World Series a hunk of metal.
Yeah.
So 3 and Out coming up next. BJ Bennett, Ben Troop, Kevin Thomas. Actually, scratch BJ Bennett, Ben Troop, Kevin Thomas. They're going to be on there talking to Chris Caney. You hear him every night on ESPN Radio. That's coming up next right here on ESPN Radio.